You're listening to the Good Old Boys Fantasy Football Podcast. Now here's your hosts, Kevin, Derek, and Alex.
Alrighty, welcome in, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of the Good Old Boys Fantasy Football Podcast. I am Derek, and joined as always by your co-hosts, Kevin and Alex. Gentlemen, how we doing?
Doing good. Hopefully everyone had a fun and safe Memorial Day. It was a little warmer down here, so got to hang out by the pool, grilled a little bit. The in-laws came down, so we got to hang out with them. Got to watch the Indy, right? So we watched the 500, and then I don't know what we did, played a board game or something, right? And then we had dinner. The 600 was going on, and watched that, and kind of just hanging out and enjoying each other's company. So it was a good weekend with the family, but definitely glad to be back on air with you guys, going through another mock right before we get into all these breakdowns, right? The gauntlet of breakdowns as we lead up to kickoff for the 2025 NFL season. But all things are good, man. How are you guys?
It was a glorious day of automobile racing on Sunday. Woke up, watched Monaco, mowed the lawn, so I got my own, motors running, and then I watched the 500. I watched the 600. It was interesting. Disappointing day for Kyle Larson, who was set up to run 1,100 miles, and I think ran 200 maybe. He
got more than that.
You're probably right. He probably ran about 500,
he got 250 out of the 500.
And he wasn't around for very long in the 600 either. But that was a wild start to the 500. If anybody watched it, there was a wreck before they even went green. They delayed for rain, so it was a wild day of auto racing. What was really funny was the 500 ended and it went straight to like a UFL game. And I was like, no, I don't want to watch this. I'm going to find something else. So if there was any question as to am I that much of a diehard football fan? I'm not. I'm not that much of a diehard football. I don't need it that badly in my life.
So I left it on.
The UFL game?
I left the UFL game on, and
just
my
down
wife,
the road from me.
Yeah, my wife was outside by the pool, and I was just, it was background noise. I think I was reading a book, and my wife walks in, and she looks at the TV, and she looks down at me, and she said, "Are you blanking kidding me?" She was like, "Football is on already." She about lost it. I said, No. I said, This is a different league. I said, I'm not tied into this. It's okay. She goes, oh, thank God. She goes, I don't know if I could handle this in May. Like, don't worry, honey. You still have a couple months before it's on TV 24/7.
Yeah, that was I immediately it came on and I was just like, no, I don't want to do this right now. I need my break. I'm very much a seasonal sports fan, right? I need my football in the fall, my hockey in the winter. I need that. The only time I'm okay is if my hockey goes into June. That usually means the Avs are doing something good. But I'm very much a seasonal fan. Football in the fall, and then that's it for me. Because generally it's quality football in the fall. And not that the UFL isn't quality football. It is, and it serves a great purpose because I think it will help the NFL game get better in that they will be able to try some things out in the UFL, right? And see competition-wise if that'll help in the NFL. But it is still kind of minor league football, and that to me is not appealing as maybe minor league sports are, or maybe other minor league sports are.
Ohio State or the UFL field? They're going one-on-one.
If they're going
last year's team, Ohio State's 2024 team.
So Man, that's tough because you always say like it doesn't matter. Even remember how bad the Panthers were a couple of years year before.
This is in between though.
I know. It's in between, and that's what's hard about it. Because I still think probably a UFL team is probably better than the best college football team, but not by much. That margin is much smaller than. It's much smaller.
Okay, how about the 2021 LSU team?
I was hoping you wouldn't bring that
Is
up.
that the 20? Is that the Joe Burrow's team?
I think it was I think it was either 2020, 2020,
19 to 20.
That team.
Yeah, that 19 team.
I don't know, man. I think I'd take that LSU team over any of the UFL teams, and I think
that team was loaded.
And I think I would take Georgia's first national championship team. I don't think their second one was defensively stout enough. They just caught TCU instead of Michigan, so it looked bad.
Yeah.
But I think I would take Georgia's first
their
national
first one was
championship
loaded
team.
with NFL. Like it basically.
That's what I'm saying. Like I would take that team against a UFL team. Now, I might be biased, but these top college teams look more in sync to me.
Yeah, and I think the
UFL
reason
teams
for
do.
that is because generally they've had a few more years together, right? Versus the 3 weeks that maybe 3 weeks that some of these teams have together. Some of these UFL teams have together before getting into play, and now I think they're probably, a couple weeks into their season, but
They're 7 weeks in.
I don't know. I think I'd take a UFL, but I think it would take. I think the special college teams are better than UFL teams.
It's cohesion to me. Like, and really, it's the quarterback play. The quarterback play in the UFL is not good. It's just not good.
And rightfully so, right? Because if you're worth a damn at quarterback, you're not in the UFL.
Yeah, you should be one of the 64 on a roster, right? Not that, but yeah, I struggle with
you're
the
starting
quarterback
with
play. Makes everything clunky.
In theory, the 65th best quarterback in.
Well, that's assuming that every team's only carrying 2, whereas there's a lot of teams that carry three, and then there's typically
practice
reserve
squad guy or something like that. Yeah, it just
so
it is what it is.
Yeah,
and you're not wrong. It's just a little clunky for me. Like there's no rhythm to the game. And I think really that's where I struggle, because I feel like in college and even the professional game, there's a rhythm, there's a cadence, there's a feel to the game. I haven't found that in the UFL yet. Like they try and make something work, and you have like a busted play and the guy gets down for like 15, 20 yards. Like, okay, they're getting some momentum here. And then right after the big play, it's like 3 and out. I'm like, well, that was trash.
I'll say, having watched very few minutes of a UFL broadcast this year and previous years, but it is rather insightful, right? Like they're very good about giving the viewer access,
Absolutely,
which is great for a viewer. I don't know that it does them any favors when it comes to ticket sales, but like from a viewing standpoint, like the access that the UFL gives you is phenomenal.
No, yes, they're knowledgeable for sure. They're knowledgeable. They're just not athletically gifted as much so as
right. They're still freak athletes.
Top 1%.
Right.
They're just not the freakiest of freak athletes.
Right. Since we're talking USFL and college football, fun trivia fact. We'll see who can get this one. Name the coach that has won both a USFL title and a college national championship.
Bob Stoops.
There we go. All right.
I just figured it'd be in Oklahoma.
There you go. But anyway, I just had to find a way to pivot that in there. So appreciate you.
Got to get Oklahoma in. There you go.
Exactly. Right.
We're drafting again today.
We are. We do have a couple of folks that have joined us in there as well. Shout out to Vince and Jamie, who have joined us in there as well. And let's hit up some of these comments here real quick before we get going. Vince chiming in saying, "Good day, legends. What's the scoop? Let's go Pacers." Okay.
It took a 3-1 series lead.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
It's turning out like the second round was the more entertaining series. Kind of the same in the NHL too, right? These conference finals have been kind of they're both 3-1 right now. So see if they can be a touch more competitive or extend out past the fifth game.
I was really hoping Minnesota would knock OKC off. I for some reason I really don't like this OKC team. Like I just really don't. Maybe
They're
I
easy
should,
to not like,
but it's not my cup of tea. I'm really what I'm most shocked about is in the NHL. I did not expect the Oilers to be up 3-1.
Me either. And I'm really torn in that one because I don't like either team, so it's very difficult for me. And I don't particularly care for either team in the Eastern Conference, and it would be something if Florida wins back-to-back. Like, that's respect. But we're in a collision course for the same conference or for the same Stanley Cup final for the second year in a row. So,
right. So, Vince asking what the mock is. So Vince reading the show title there, saying that we're rock and rolling through the mock. There you go. That might answer some of your OKC questions there with Vince saying shy
flop Sander.
He is.
Yeah.
He is. There's no way he was the league MVP. They just didn't want to give it to Jokic 3 years in a row.
Right.
And we've seen it before. We've seen it with they didn't want to give it to LeBron 3 years in a row. The Steph Curry, right? Like we have seen the Kevin Durant. Like we've seen this before, where players who deserve a three-peat at MVP don't get it. So it's not that Jokic is getting slighted out of nowhere, but
right.
You take Jokic off the Nuggets, and they're damn near a lottery team.
They're competing for a high lottery. Like that's not even a that they might be on the verge. They're fully in a lottery contention, and probably with a
23 wins maybe.
Yeah, maybe. I think they struggle. I think they would struggle to get to 25 or 30 wins without Jokic on that roster. So, Mr. Magic chiming in saying hi. We did have Mr. Magic also answering the question. Rank these guys in redraft: Chase Brown, Brees Jacobs, and Jonathan Taylor. Thoughts on this one?
Jacobs, Brees, Brown, JT.
Jamar Chase, right? That's Jamar Chase,
No.
AJ Brown?
No, Chase Brown.
Brees Hall, Josh Jacobs, Jonathan Taylor.
Yeah, just in the situations they're in. Jacobs, then Brees, then Chase Brown, then JT.
Yeah, Josh Jacobs is certainly the first guy off the board there for me. You could twist my arm for either Chase Brown or Brees Hall in that 2-3 spot. But I'm not necessarily a fan of Jonathan Taylor this year in that, especially as where he's going. So I would put him at 4th. Alex, any dissenting viewpoints?
No.
Okay. Jamie saying, "What's up, dudes?" And Vince chiming in saying that it was the 2019 in reference to that LSU team that we were discussing earlier.
It was a great team.
Yeah,
it's an amazing team.
And Jamie asking the dynasty trade question: trade away Garrett Wilson and the 109 for the 101. He's torn because that'll give him Bijan, Gibbs, and Genty.
I guess what's it do to your wide receiver room? Because I'm not totally against it if you believe that Genty is kind of that next generational talent. I understand and support the move. Obviously having, kind of however way you shake it, the best flex player or the best flex option out of anybody in your league is a positional advantage, right? We talk about that when we're drafting and being able to do things like that. I would be remiss. So 109. So you could be possibly looking at Johnson or Harvey, possibly.
Right.
It's not a guarantee anymore. It was a few weeks ago when we were drafting early. Now it's not so much of a guarantee anymore that they get to 109. I'd feel a bit more comfortable if it was at 107. And that's kind of the uncertainty, because if I can't get one of those guys at 109, I don't love what I'm forced to do at that point.
Right.
Like, there's nothing wrong with Mbuka, and I've had to do that before, but I much prefer having that running back at 7, 8, and 9 as opposed to a wide receiver. So if your wide receiver room can handle it, Jamie, yes, go for it.
Yeah. Any other thoughts on that one, Alex?
No, I think I was going and looking to see something that's very fun, and that is that Ashton Genty is going to be playing in a Chip Kelly offense. Now, it's a Chip Kelly offense that will be tempered, I guess, by Pete Carroll, but it's a pretty interesting, it's a very interesting proposition to have Genty in kind of that mindset. I think I'll echo what Kevin said. If you can afford losing that wide receiver option, then I would do it. But I think there's also plenty of solid running backs that are out there that, well, yes, you would have three of what are expected to be the three of the top 6 or 8. Like, you can still manage with other pieces.
Yeah. The other thing too that I'll just kind of add into that is it's very interesting too, right? Like Chip Kelly's offense and the running backs that we've seen there either do incredibly well or they don't, right? There's not a middle ground for that. So, right, like Shady McCoy when he was with Chip Kelly did incredibly well, right? DeMarco Murray, when they brought him in, really not a good fit there. So I think Genty leans more towards the shifty back and be able to bounce it at the outside, which is more conducive to Kelly's offense there than the straight up the gut that DeMarco Murray was. But that is something else just to kind of put an additional thought into that deal there. But I'm also with Kevin that if my wide receiver room can handle it, I don't mind that move.
Chip's already. I saw a thing I think last week. Chip's already broken him of the Michael Myers stance that he was known for. Chip
all it took was one question.
It's hands on knees before you start. You will be in a ready position, not this Michael Myers, which is super funny. Like, it's just funny.
When did because I did see a report came out on that one as well, saying that all it took was one question, literally, to have him start lining up with in a more ready position.
Yeah,
so,
yeah.
I just asked him to guard him like he was playing basketball, and got down and said, "There you go."
Yep.
So,
yeah.
Interesting. Okay. Real quick, let's hit up a couple more questions, and we're going to start getting into this mock. Tyler coming in with tank in redraft.
It's supposed to be rank.
Oh, that could be.
I think it is rank. Yeah.
That makes a lot more
that
sense.
Makes way more sense. I was struggling when I saw it. I was like, what
Right.
the hell is Tyler asking us here?
I believe it to be rank.
Okay, we're gonna go with
You got
rank on that one. Rank in redraft: Higgins, Garrett Wilson, AJ Brown. If AJ Brown is taken, Mike Myers. Okay. Well, rank him up and just add Mike Myers into the thought process there.
Mike Evans.
Evans. You got me talking about Mike Myers.
I know. Do we got to go
Hold
watch
on.
Halloween now?
He fixed
We might have to.
I think he fixed it. Tyler threw a lot at us. Hold on, sift through.
Okay.
So
there.
Right?
Yeah. So ranking
Puka,
Puka, AJ, Garrett Wilson, Mike Evans, in case I go running back first. Okay. So it's Puka, AJ Brown, Garrett Wilson, Mike Evans. Rank them up.
I think Puka has the ceiling, being the number one guy. If he can stay healthy, that's the big knock on you need Puka to play all 17. If Puka can stay healthy, there you go. I think Mike Evans is Mr. Consistent. There's no reason to go against that. So Mike, you're guessing 1,000 yards and dang near 10 touchdowns, right? Like that's the Mike Evans kind of standard. So you absolutely know what you're getting there. AJ Brown scares me because we've seen him go in a hole, right? Like the Eagles get so fixated on the run, or it's just a Devonta Smith week. Like it's great for NFL. It does become a little sketchy for fantasy at times. So I am not as high on AJ Brown as some folks are. And I think Garrett Wilson can do well with Justin Fields as quarterback. So I'm not scared of Garrett Wilson.
Yeah, but of those four.
So of those four, I'm probably going Puka first, and then I would probably go Puka, Wilson, Evans, and AJ Brown. Now that is not how most people would have them ranked, and I understand that. But again, I do want all these high weeks, but I want some consistency in my first 3 rounds. And as much as I like AJ Brown and as talented as he is, you go on these spike weeks where he will win you weeks and you feel really good about it. And then all of a sudden you have 2 or 3 weeks where he's like 11 points, 8
wide
points
receiver
for some
60.
reason. Yeah. It's like, and you just wonder like, what the hell? Like, that scares me for a top receiver or a top 2 receiver. Like I really try to avoid that. If it's my flex position, I get it. That's what those guys are. They're high and low. But if I'm picking these guys in the first 3 rounds, and at least 3 out of those 4 are going in the first 3 rounds, Evans, you might be able to double back and get 2 of these guys if you wait on Evans, just because how most people will just draft off of the ADP. You could probably get Evans around later if that's what you want to do, but that's how I have it set at least.
Right.
Yeah, my list is Puka, Evans, AJ Brown, Garrett Wilson. But look, the quarterback situation scares the hell out of me in New York. That's what it is.
You'll get 1,000 yards. Are you going to get 3 touchdowns or are you going to get 10 touchdowns?
Right.
Like that's a big range. It's a big range. He'll get 1,000 yards for New York. I have no doubt about that. The touchdowns, that's where you kind of have to use your crystal ball a little bit.
Yeah. I'm right there with you. I'm going with Puka. However, when I look up and at the end of the season, who do I think will be there from a points perspective? I do think AJ Brown's going to be the guy that gets there, right? But the problem is like Kevin said, it's going to be highly inconsistent. You're going to have some of these weeks where he's top five, and then follows it up with 2 weeks of wide receiver 50. Follows it back up with a wide receiver 10 to follow it up with a wide receiver 40. And like, that is hard to rock and roll that, especially when you're dealing with the some of the ins and outs and what that's going to look like for your fantasy roster there. As far as the rest of that goes, I probably lean the Garrett Wilson side slightly, and I think that just because we're going to see him uncork again, right? Like we talked about Mike Evans being 1,000-yard receiver and a 10 touchdown deal. I do think that we see Garrett Wilson potentially, kind of elevate into that as well. We've seen Garrett Wilson do it where he's been 1,000-yard receiver for each of the years that he's in the league there as well. He just hadn't had the touchdowns to that as well. So I think that we could see him potentially get up to that 1,010 touchdowns there as well. So call it a coin flip between Garrett Wilson and Mike Evans there. But I do like what Kevin said there too, that you could potentially, Mike Evans will potentially have that slide a little bit further down. So I don't mind that move there either. Alrighty. Vince saying that he thinks Garrett has the second highest upside if you like to gamble. Jay saying that they think that Wilson would need a 30% target share to do good with Fields and his consistency. Potentially, right? Like Justin Fields tends to hyper fixate and target his lead receiver. So very well could happen there. Let's hit this one up here real quick. In a 1 QB league, this one, Paul over on YouTube. In a 1 QB league, would you trade Hall, Harvey, Addison, 2027 first for Bijan and Garrett Wilson?
No.
That is a lot to give up. Yep, nope, not doing it.
No. Let's mock.
Alrighty. Let's go ahead and hit up the mock here, and we can keep rock and rolling through some of these if they have any additional questions here. Alrighty, and we did have a couple of folks joining us on this one as well. We had Vince and Jamie hopping in here as well. Kevin, you are on the clock.
Oh, dropped my app. I'm gonna go George shape. Make it really easy.
Kevin gets to play the fun game of dealing with not AI surrounding him. Whereas I am drafting from the 6th position. Derek's a little further back at 10, but we have AI surrounding us on each.
In some ways, it makes
side.
it easier.
Sometimes this also can be a little bit more erratic.
There you go. Bijan going at the 2. Okay.
Should point out what the parameters are for this league. It is a single quarterback, 2 running backs, 3 wide receivers, a tight end, 3 flex, 4 bench. After Bijan goes Saquon, then Puka, then CeeDee Lamb. Okay. All right. Sure. I will take. That's tempting. I feel like I have to go Justin Jefferson there, even though Amon-Ra Brown is. That's tempting.
You got to love that Jefferson pick there. He's shown to be about quarterback proof here. So we'll see what McCarthy has to bring to the table, but I like Jefferson.
It's a little concerning there, but yeah. Right. Known commodity in Amon-Ra St. Brown, but man, Justin Jefferson.
Right.
Yeah. They got a new offense going to Detroit this year. Like,
yeah.
I love these Detroit players, and I really like that team, but I am curious to see offensively how they look with Ben Johnson there.
Yeah.
That's very true.
I actually took Caleb Williams over Jared Goff as my second quarterback in a Superflex league, because I was kind of debating, do I want Jared Goff, who's put up back-to-back years and really kind of revitalized his career there in Detroit, weapons, a team that we know is going to be fighting, for high playoff seed potentially and the division, everything else, or do I follow Ben Johnson and see what he did for Jared Goff and now crossing my fingers that Caleb Williams can do something similar with a chest full of weapons to use.
Oh man, yeah.
Right. But I'm sitting here and I'm looking at this, and the fact that we've got three wide receivers. I'm not going to do what I did last time and start off with a running back here, and could certainly look at the Nico Collins, who's available, Drake London, but I'm going to go with a guy that had a bit of a breakout last year, and I think that we're going to see that continue, especially with a ton of vacated targets, and that's Brian Thomas.
I could like that.
Yeah, I was doing that hoping that that Derrick Henry would still be available in the second round, and that one did not fall my way, but that's okay. So after Brian Thomas, Drake London, Derrick Henry, AJ Brown, and Nico Collins all come off the board, and that puts me back on the clock here. And yeah, certainly could look at a few different things here with either looking at running back with some good options there. Could look at continuing to go with some of the wide receivers, or even reach a little bit potentially and go get a tight end and get another pass catcher, potentially try and get a positional advantage there. However, we're going to go ahead and you rock and roll with another wide receiver here, and we're going to go ahead and take a guy that had another bit of a breakout year, and we're going to go ahead and see if we can't follow that up with JSN.
He was good enough that they were okay letting DK walk, right?
And Tyler Lockett.
And Tyler Lockett. That's how okay they were with JSN's performance. So you'd have to believe that they're going to, allow that to flourish. So that's a solid pick there. I was kind of hoping he'd make it back to me. But alas, he did not. So after JSN, Devon Achane goes, Ladd McConkey goes, Tyreek Hill, another guy that I was kind of eyeing there to try and get back here in this second round. Again, it is a 3 wide receiver league, and I don't want to make the mistake I made last time when we did this and go running back heavy my first 2 rounds. And then it really felt like I was kind of scrambling and then talking myself into the receiver picks that I was making. Because I also went tight end kind of early too, of which there is a couple positional advantages I think you could get here with Brock Bowers and Trey McBride still on the board. But I think I'm going to go for the wide receiver who is, second fiddle, but what a fiddle to be playing in Cincinnati. So I'm going to go T. Higgins here.
Oh, bam. So T. Higgins goes. Then the tight ends you just spoke about. Bowers, McBride go. Jamie grabs Garrett Wilson. That's unfortunate. I was kind of looking forward to that. Vince goes here to pair up with Bijan.
Vince is in the chat, but man, what do you think here? If go wide out here, Bijan, and say like a Terry McLaurin, is it too early to reach for?
Oh, Jacobs, he's double stacking running back.
He's going running back heavy. Not a bad play.
No, not a bad play. All right, so I'm left with some decisions here. I think first and foremost, I don't want to. Let's see here. 15. So 15 receivers in the first 2 rounds. Terry McLaurin's kind of top of the board. Mike Evans is right there. I'm going to lead Mike Evans here because I like pairing him up with Jamar Chase and kind of get some consistency along with the boom weeks that both of them can provide there. So I think it helps my ceiling at that position. And then here's where the debate comes in. We're now into the 3rd round, trying to create some differences. I was really kind of hoping one of those 2 tight ends would fall to me, only because I haven't built a roster with going tight end early. I generally try and avoid it, but for the sake of just kind of seeing how it would look, I was kind of hoping to be able to do that, but I'm not going to force myself into it. So what I think what I'm going to do this time is I'm going to pivot around, and I'm going to go Josh Allen here and create my positional advantage here at quarterback to go with 2 stud wide receivers. And we're going to see how this roster builds out.
It's I actually like the pick there. Genty goes, which is kind of annoying for you, Vince.
Stacking them.
Yeah. Scary Terry goes to Jamie, and then it's Bucky, and then Lamar Jackson comes off the board here. So I'm staring at, if I want to go running back, I'm staring at McCaffrey, at Jonathan Taylor, Breece Hall, Chase Brown. If I want to go wide receiver, I'm looking at Devontae Adams, Marvin Harrison, and DJ Moore. What scares me the most is that you've got Christian McCaffrey, who is now an injury risk, right? Like that is how he, right, wrong, or indifferent. That is the way that he is labeled and is viewed in my brain. And do I want to take a 3rd round pick on an injury risk? Jonathan Taylor, kind of the same, right? Also an injury risk, and maybe doesn't play the whole season. So I'm going to go Breece Hall here.
And we got the running back run happen there with Breece Hall, Jonathan Taylor, Chase Browns, Kyron Williams, and was really hoping that I would get one of those running backs to fall to me here. But you know what? At this point, Alex did shy away from him because of the injury risk, right? Last season certainly did not do anybody any favors with that. But even in the 3rd round, I'm gonna take the risk here and go ahead and take CMC, because if I get that to pop, that can be a huge difference maker. After that, Jalen Hurts goes, Devontae Adams, Marvin Harrison, Zay Flowers, puts me back on the clock here. And with this, could certainly look at a couple of different options here. Had I gone with a different running back, I probably would be looking more at like a DJ Moore here, a Rashee Rice, Cortland Sutton. Take one of these guys to kind of fill out that wide receiver room. However, having some of that, having that being said, I'm gonna go ahead and look again back here at the running back room and go ahead and just kind of bring that thing home and go with a guy that's, you know what? No, I'm gonna pivot again. I'm gonna go ahead and go DJ Moore with this one. This 3rd wide receiver, I like that.
Yeah, I bet you do. I
thought you were going Daniels. And I would have blamed you there. I thought Daniels would have been a smash pick there with that roster.
So Daniels goes after.
This is a smash pick for Team 9 too. They're going to be hurting a receiver, but holy smokes!
Right.
Team 9 has some firepower.
Then James Cook goes. TJ Hawkinson, our 3rd tight end, off the board. Puts me back on the clock here. I'm staring at a couple different great options, and I hate the position that I'm in right now because I feel like I'm going to step in it one way or the other and second guess myself here. But it's the 4th round, and Kenneth Walker's staring me right in the face, so it's hard to turn that away.
I like that pairing. I like that Breece Hall Kenneth Walker pairing. Chris Olave, Metcalf. Yes, it does. Jamie grabbing tight end early there. George Kittle in the 4th. I like George Kittle at the back end of the 4th there. I think there's some value there. Vince grabs Rashee Rice. Another solid pick to start to balance that out. So as long as he comes back healthy, I think it's providing some good things here. So, all right. So I got a couple different dilemmas here. I could go 3rd receiver. I could go running back here. Kind of see how things balance out the board. I like Alvin Kamara, the player. I hate Alvin Kamara, the situation this year. Like there
Mm.
is really no force on earth that could convince me that drafting a Saints player in the top half of a draft is a winning formula for success here this season, just with the uncertainty at quarterback, the bad contracts, how that team is aging out before our eyes. So I am going to pass. Oh my goodness. I am going to pass there on Alvin Kamara. So what it does is throws me back, look back here to the receiver pool and kind of see what we have going on here. And I'm going to grab Cortland Sutton as my third wide receiver, kind of round out that room, see how I feel about myself here. And then I am, I think begrudgingly, maybe just a little bit, I'm going to go with Joe Mixon as my top running back. He faded down the stretch just a little bit in Houston, but did really well for a good portion of the season. He was dinged up a little bit, kind of towards the beginning, but when he came back, he was on fire. So I'm hoping that he has another good year in him before we start to see him kind of fade back in as he gets close to 30.
It's a bad year for CJ Stroud too, right? Like, and that didn't do Joe Mixon any favors because that Texans team was pretty one-dimensional.
And all the injuries at receiver, right? With Diggs going
Diggs
down,
goes out, yeah.
They were tough.
That was a tough situation. All right, so after Mixon, Vince takes Godwin. Jamie's got Joe Burrow. Jalen Waddle comes off the board. There goes Kamara, which honestly, I was kind of hoping he would make his way back to me because for all of the reasons that Kevin said, that it is a scary situation for any Saints player. I think the safest of them is Kamara, right? Because we don't know what the quarterback situation is. And if it's going to be a young quarterback, a good pass catching, good pass catching tight end, a good pass catching running back, somebody that you can gadget, I think does benefit you. So I'm not afraid of Kamara in the fifth by any means. So especially middle fifth, I can see the reservation top half of the fifth. Like there's probably better options out there, but as the player pool shrinks, I'm a little bit more gung ho there. I can look at receiver again, and in fact, I think I'm going to try to not focus on receiver, but certainly I want receiver options. Given that this is a start 3 wide receiver and a 3 flex, so I feel like right now there are still pretty good running backs on the board that I would feel comfortable starting in the flex, but it feels like I'm going to start losing out on some receiver talent here. So I'm going to take, again, kind of a second fiddle guy, but as his weeks, I'll take Devonta Smith here for Philadelphia.
Okay. No, I like that pick. The what I don't like was the James Conner and Chuba Hubbard coming off the board right after that. It was really hoping that one of those guys would fall to me here in the fifth, but was not meant to be. But that's okay. So looking at it, right, top running backs on the board, David Montgomery's up there. Certainly, don't feel bad about having him as my second running back. Wide receivers, if I wanted to go that route, could certainly look at Jamison Williams, George Pickens, Jerry Jeudy. There's some options out there. Tight end, Sam Laporta's still out there. Jonnu Smith. Quarterbacks, if I wanted to if I felt so inclined, Baker Mayfield, Patrick Mahomes are still out there. But looking at this one, I think I am going to go ahead and round out a little bit of a running back room, and I'm going to go ahead and take Monty with this pick here.
That's a good. I like that pick.
After that, Hampton comes off the board. Mayfield, Ayuk, Pickens, putting me back on the clock here. And at this point, I do feel like it's a little early to be looking at a quarterback still. Not wanting to pull that trigger if I'm not going with one of the top kind of 4 quarterbacks out there to really try and get a positional advantage and get some of that rushing upside that's available there. So we'll go ahead and kick that can down the road here a little bit and look at some other options. Could go tight end here. not really feeling that one. So I'm going to go ahead and stay in the old running back room here, and I'm going to go ahead and take Isaiah Pacheco here in the 6th.
That bums me out big time. All right, after Pacheco, Jamison Williams goes, and then Tracy, then Judy. Again, I think I'm gonna lean wide receiver here. I have the 3 that I'd like to start, but I think receiver depth is important with this roster construct, with the start 3 and the 3 flex spots. Even though it is half point PPR, but because it is a half point, like, why not take a run on a speedster, on a dude that can get you yardage bonuses? So I'll get my piece of the KC offense here, and I'll take Xavier Worthy. Oh, that's one.
Sorry. After Worthy, Adunze goes. Mahomes goes to Team Ford. Jamie is on the clock here. Sitting with Barkley, Wilson, McLaurin, Kittle, and Burrow. This is always an interesting strategy. And it takes a little bit of faith in the draft board to kind of see how it plays off. But he's there's a couple different strategies, right? Hero RB with Barkley, and then he's drafting premium tight end and premium quarterback. Like, there's a lot of strategy and a lot of different implementation that's going on here with Jamie's roster. And not that it's a bad thing. It does kind of toy with what you could potentially get pinned in or forced to having to do in the mid rounds a little bit as you're trying to balance out your roster. But if the board falls the way he needs it to, there's a ton of upside going with that. But you don't see that strategy a whole heck of a lot because it does require a lot of faith in the draft board that it's going to fall the way that you would like for it to.
Right. You got to white knuckle it just a little bit there.
Just a little bit. All right. So I am not really loving what's on the board here. I'm really just not. So I don't want to go Sam Laporta here in the 6th. We have Najee Harris who's splitting carries. Aaron Jones isn't terrible. He's serviceable there.
Young quarterback, right?
Yeah, run quarterback doing that. Same thing with Tony Pollard, right? Tony Pollard splitting carries, but actually had kind of quietly a good season here. But I am going to kind of stick my flag here for a second. And knowing that I have Joe Mixon there, knowing that I don't necessarily love the wide receivers, I'm going to go with a pair of young running backs, and I'm going there early because I want to leave nothing to chance, and being on the wheel, everything's always kind of crazy here. But I am going to grab RJ Harvey out of Denver and Caleb Johnson out of Pittsburgh and get a pair of young running backs who I think will make big impacts here in year 1.
Okay.
That is early, but that's a comfortable early, right? Like there is uncomfortable early, and that's, I think, a comfortable early. Right?
Right. I mean, worst case scenario, they're splitting carries. Best case scenario, one or both of these guys kind of sticks out and is a true alpha. So definitely a calculated gamble. We're going to see how it plays off, but
not super thrilled
that
it.
I wanted youth.
Yeah, not super thrilled that it set off a little bit of a running back run there, because that's where I was looking. So after Caleb Johnson goes, Vince takes Tet McMillan, and Vince is putting together a pretty decent little roster here. And then Jamie's gone. Tony Pollard, Najee Harris then goes, and then Aaron Jones. That was kind of who I was hoping would sneak his way back to me. at this rate, like I do want to look at. I think running back is the way to go here. Laporta is still on the board. Johnny Smith is still there at the tight end spot. But I feel like if I'm messing around right now, given the run, I wouldn't say that I'm on tilt, but a little bit on tilt here that I want to check out. I don't want to miss out on some running backs that are going here. So I'm gonna take Jalen Warren here. Yes, the quarterback situation there is sketchy, but I'm going to trust the process that a running back will be okay.
After Jalen Warren, Brian Robinson goes, Kyler Murray, Sam Laporta, and Sam Laporta and Kyler Murray were the top two guys on my queue. Maybe a little bit back to some drawing board here, but that's okay. We'll see what's still available here and regroup a little bit. And actually, I feel pretty good with the way that this board has fallen here. And there's a wide receiver that I feel pretty good being my fourth wide receiver on this roster. And I'm going to go ahead and take Jacoby Myers here.
I like that Myers pick.
After Jacoby Myers comes off the board, it's Johnny Smith, Mark Andrews, Deebo Samuel, DeAndre Swift. And this is now at a point where I'm going to have to either kind of call my shot a little bit on a guy that may potentially not make it back to me, but a guy that I think that will have after a down year, we'll see him bounce back to some really good things. And I'm going to go ahead and take Evan Ingram with this pick here.
Very good. All right. So after Evan Ingram, Ramondre Stevenson, who was in my queue, is gone. David Njoku's gone. Jared Goff comes off the board. I'm looking here at my team. Still need tight end.
Travis Kelce is available.
Travis Kelce is still available. But I've got other plans when it comes to tight end. So I'm gonna hold off and hope for the best on that. That my guy gets back to me. But what I won't wait on is I'm gonna go with another receiver here, a guy returning to where he was so successful in college, at least the state, and see if he can't play a little bit of that familiar role that Tyler Lockett to that DK Metcalf, and this is kind of 2.0. I'm going to take Cooper Kupp here.
All right, Michael Pittman, Jaden Reed, Jamie's back on the clock here. Interested to see where Jamie's going to go. Judkins, okay. Getting some youth there in the running back room, seeing how that's going to look for Cleveland.
I sent
Josh
Jamie
Downs.
a big Cleveland fan.
He is.
Yeah.
He is. He's
appropriate amount of weight before taking this Cleveland running back. It wasn't like, that's a total Cleveland.
And I really like Judkins. I just don't like how I feel like the game script's going to go for them this year. So I'm afraid that he's just not going to see, as many touches as we would like. But nevertheless. All right. What am I doing here? All right, we're in the 8th round. Oh, let's see here. We have 9 tight ends off the board. Do I figure Travis Kelce is going to finish in the top 10 for tight ends this year? Yes. So here we go. There's Travis Kelce. So now we have some decisions to make. So I'm going to go with Stephon Diggs here. If he's able to come back from this knee injury, Drake May is going to have to throw the ball to somebody, and to get a 3-year deal, regardless of how the money plays out, there's going to be plenty of targets thrown his way. So I'm going to go Stephon Diggs here and went from young to really old with Kelce and Diggs.
Yes, you did. That's okay. I really like that that Diggs pick, and that was where I was going to go if he was still there when coming back.
I'll tell you what, Vince is now loading up on receiver. His last 6 picks, all receiver.
I like
he
it.
Takes Jennings. Matt Golden comes off the board to Jamie. Then we see Brock Purdy and Justin Herbert comes off the board. A little bummed. Had Brock Purdy in the queue. Was kind of hoping that would hang out for a little bit longer.
Oh, come on now. Throw Derek on tilt.
Still don't think I. Oh, how do I do that? Still don't think I am ready to go quarterback here. Tight end is a position of need still. But I feel like I need to have a little bit more running back depth. I feel like I'm going to achieve that in future rounds. But I don't know that. Like he and Rico Dowdle and Chuba Hubbard are essentially the same player in my opinion. We'll take the flyer here on Travis Etienne and hope for the best. Hope for a bounce back year.
My gosh, and he's still available there for Derek. Oh my gosh.
I was hoping. And when you started saying it, I was like, oh my, he's gonna talk Alex into doing it, and then I'm gonna have to regroup here.
Freaking Bo Nix is still sitting there for him.
That is exactly who I was hoping would fall here, right? So, with that being said, Bo Nix is certainly one of the probably coming off the board way later than he probably should. But that's who's available. Need a quarterback, and was playing this to hopefully have him be available for this pick. So, Bo Nix is the guy here. Jake Ferguson comes off the board. Rico Dwaddle, J.K. Dobbins, Rachaad White. The Rachaad White one stings a little bit. I was really hoping that he'd be available with this pick because that's where I would go if he was available, but he's not. So we'll have to regroup and look at a few things here. And with that being the case, we'll go ahead and just kind of go back to the old wide receiver well. And with that, I'm actually going to take a guy that Kevin's been pumping up here quite a bit throughout the offseason and thinks it is going to have a bit of a breakout. And I'm going to go ahead and jump on that bandwagon here with Ricky Pearsall.
All right, after Pearsall, Tyjae Spears comes off, Darnell Mooney comes off, Dalton Kincaid comes off. Realistically, I'm looking at tight end and quarterback here. I do need to fill out those positions before I can kind of go a little bit further into my depth. So that's the choice that I have to make is, do I take tight end here? Do I take quarterback here? Given that just about everybody else except for Vince has a tight end, I feel kind of safe in holding off for another round. So I'm going to go quarterback here, and I'm going to hope that he has a better year than he did last year. And I'm going to take not CJ Stroud, the other guy in Texas, Dak Prescott.
All right. I had our quarterback run. All right. Jabal Williams, Tucker Kraft, Henderson. I like that Henderson pick there. Jamie, I had my eye on him. Travis Hunter, another good, solid pick there in the 10th round. Good job, guys. Okay, so going back to me, a couple different options. I am going to snatch Tank Bigsby because I think worst case scenario, he's in another timeshare in Jacksonville. And again, it's grabbing some pieces here. And then after him, what do I want to do, folks? Christian Kirk's out there. Amari Cooper is not signed. And blah, blah. Keon Coleman. I'm interested in Keon Coleman because it's the 11th round, pairing him up with my quarterback. If they do kind of strike and we see that second year breakout from Coleman, this could be big for my team as another flex play and option. So I think I'm talking myself into that here at the moment. I want to go there. I think I am. I'm going to sit here with Coleman and add some bench strength to my team. T-Law. Vince takes his quarterback, goes T-Law.
That's Harris comes after team 4. Just blew up the plan. Zach Charbonnet comes off the board. Keenan Allen.
You hated that. When the year you had both of them, dude, you dog cussed that in the home league. You hated having both of them.
Would have been pretty nice there. So we'll pivot. We'll come back. We need to look at tight end anyways. I figured that Charbonnet would have been the pick here, and that probably would have been maybe a round too late. So I'm gonna go Hunter Henry here and see if they can't build on him, and Drake May can't build on the chemistry that they built last year.
All right, and after Hunter Henry, Christian Kirk, Amari Cooper, Jerome Ford go, and that puts me back on the clock here. And with this, right, there's certainly a lot of quarterbacks available on that. Could look at potentially getting kind of a backup tight end, start filling out some of the depth pieces, looking for a backup QB, but there's still plenty of good positional players out here and skill position players. So that's where I think I'm going to head. And one of the guys that I'm really looking at there, and even though there's a lot to be desired about the quarterback situation in New Orleans, I'm going to go ahead and take Rashid Shaheed here, and hope that I can get one or two big blow up games out of him. CJ Stroud, Tua Tagovailoa, Austin Eckler, and Blake Corum come off the board next. Puts me back on the clock here, and again, could go several different types of directions here. And one of the guys that I'm going to go ahead and just take a flyer on and see, and maybe this thing hits here. But I'm going to go ahead and take Hollywood Brown, who we didn't see have a really get a chance to see what he can do in that Kansas City offense last season with that injury.
All right, so after Hollywood Brown, it's Dallas Goedert, and then after Dallas Goedert, we see Matthew Stafford come off, Quentin Johnston, who I was just eyeing. So I think I'm going to go again, maybe develop or have a few more options at running back than what I've got at the moment, which is Breece Hall, Kenneth Walker, and Travis Etienne. Tyler Algier is there. Ray Davis is there, and Braylon Allen is there. I have Breece Hall. I was considering the handcuff. I guess I also have Jalen Warren. Excuse me. I was considering the handcuff of Kenneth Walker because I feel like he does get injured a little bit more. And now I've talked myself out of running back altogether. Screw it. We're going Adam Thielen.
All right. Algier, DeAndre Hopkins goes. Jamie's back on the clock here in the 12th round. Interested. Justin Fields. Okay. Like that. A little bit of running upside. Pair up with Burrow. There's nothing wrong with that. And then back over to Vince. Marvin Mims. All right. So I'm torn here. I'm going to go Jaden Higgins there in Houston. Again, a little bit of wide receiver depth. And then I am going to gamble here this late, and I'm going to take Tutton. So I'm going to have 2 Jacksonville running backs because I'm going to buy the hype that ETN will be removed via trade or whatever other means by Jacksonville going in. And I will have the 1-2 punch there in Jacksonville. Just 2.
Honestly, as a TN drafter, that's probably best case scenario for me that he gets removed from that situation. So after Tutton, we've got Freiermuth comes off the board, Luther Burden, Romeo Dobbs, Braylon Allen. Could look up at a backup quarterback situation here. But I feel like you take the last couple rounds here, especially I could use backup tight end, but you can stream a tight end if you need to. I'm going to take a chance on a rookie here. I'm going to go Cam Scattaboo. See if he can latch on there in the Big Apple.
I like that pick. See if we can get some early goal line work. I like that.
Yeah.
Then Ray Davis comes off the board. Jalen Wright, Rashad Bateman puts me back on the clock here. And you know what? I am okay just sitting here and deciding to start looking at some backups. And one of the guys I'm going to look at is a guy that's constantly was probably way overdrafted, but we'll see if we can't finally get something out of Kyle Pitts here this late. After
I was thinking he might be my Mr. Irrelevant.
Right. Jaleel McLaughlin goes then Cole Kmet, Xavier Leggett, Isaiah Garendo, and puts me back on the clock here. And again, with this one, I'll go ahead and I'll take a shot on another backup. We'll just get a backup QB here and call it a day with Drake May.
After Drake May comes Trey Benson, then Zach Ertz. A.D. Mitchell comes off the board. I am also going to go backup quarterback here, and I'm going to go with not a rookie, but a rookie, J.J. McCarthy.
Fair enough. Nick Chubb, Dylan Sampson, Brenton Strange by Jamie, Jordan Mason. If I hadn't gone Josh Allen, if I hadn't gone one of the top 3 or 4, I probably would have grabbed a second quarterback here. Take a flyer on Bryce Young or Penix and just kind of see what happens. But since I have Josh Allen, they're just going to be sitting on my bench. I'm not going to worry about that. So then what do we want to do here for Mr. Irrelevant? I am going to go with Jaden Blue. So I'm stacked with young rookie running backs.
Yeah,
I have old man Mixon leading the team here. And outside of that, I am very young at running back. So I just need 1 or 2 of them to break out. And we're good.
You got lots of dudes that don't have pictures on Sleeper. That's all you need to know about how young your running back room is.
Listen, man, you come out of a rookie draft with Harvey, Johnson, and Tutton.
You're feeling pretty good.
And Jaden Blue. You come out with those 4 rookie running backs in a rookie draft for Dynasty, and you feel like you stole the show. So,
right,
50% rule. Half of those guys will pan out. The other half, not so much this year, and I will be able to release them and pick up other pieces.
Absolutely. Well, thoughts on how you feel the draft turned out, and anything that maybe you would have changed.
I think I waited a round too late on quarterback. That Travis Etienne pick there maybe wasn't ideal, especially given that 2 quarterbacks had gone ahead of that, and then 3 quarterbacks went after that. So to not have to have less of a selection there, maybe was a round too late there to go quarterback. Still okay with Dak Prescott there in the 10th, but probably could have had a better selection there.
I think quarterback might have been my reach a little bit. I like Josh Allen in the 3rd. How this draft board went in hindsight, I think I could have pivoted and gone a Genty, Ashton Genty there, gone, Brees Hall, Kyron Williams, something like that, and then picked a quarterback up in the 5th like Joe Burrow. And I think I would have liked that stack with him and Jamar Chase a lot. So I probably wouldn't have been lamenting that as much. So maybe just kind of a pivot of those 2 rounds. But overall, it's a lot of hope and wonder with the running backs, but this team is built around, the top 3 picks, right? Chase, Evans, and Allen, and convinced that Travis Kelce is still a top 10 tight end, right? He was a down year last year, and he was still tight end 6. That position just is not as fruitful as we would like for it to be. So I figure getting him as the 10th tight end off the board, I'm probably getting fair market value, if not a bit of a value on Travis Kelce, which we haven't been able to say for years.
Yeah.
Yeah, fair enough. For me, I felt like my draft went pretty well. I'm not overly happy that I'm a little light in the running back room there, but I'm sure we'll be able to make some adjustments throughout the season towards that. But overall, feel pretty good about the overall roster construct of this one. Anybody else's roster that you really liked looking through that?
I give credit to Vince. His running back room is stout. Solid running back room, in my opinion. He's going to need some big time performances out of his receivers, I think, but he certainly has the players that can boom, but equally can bust.
It's not a compilation, though, right? Like,
yeah, it is.
Tet's the number 1. Ridley's the number 1. Rice was the number 1 receiver in football until he got injured, right? So I mean, the pathway is there. We'll see if he waited too long on quarterback. Like, I almost wonder if grabbing a Purdy, Herbert, like someone in that, what was that 9th round instead of Jennings. I wonder if that would have kind of changed the look of his roster just slightly enough to make it look a bit more potent from a draft board perspective. But overall, yeah, I mean, you got a monster, running back core right there. So worst case scenario, if he's going out and he has to, dish one of those running backs for, a top end receiver, he'll be able to do it in name power alone.
I think just on paper here, like if I could trade with a team 9, I thought did really well right in front of you, Derek. I thought that was they've got a pretty good little mix in there of not great receivers, but solid. But it complements the running backs that they have, right? Achane, Kyron Williams, Jaden Daniels there in the 4th is a nice pick. I really like their first. I guess I really like their first 6 rounds. I think from there was work to be done, but first 6 picks I like.
Fair enough. All righty. Any let's Vince chiming in saying I got my math wrong. I thought auto drafts took their second QBs in the 11th round. That's funny. That is funny. Vince also saying, don't forget that Blue is 2 years away from being 2 years away.
2 years away from being 2 years
I'll trade your Blue for Trevor Lawrence straight up. I bet they break the same year.
That's funny. Well, that's
Mr. Irrelevant. I had to. I already kind of stuck my flag for that guy. Hell, if he's going to be sitting there at the last pick of the draft for me, might as well grab him.
Nah, I like it. Well, yeah. Any? I think that kind of puts that one to bed there. Any other thoughts out there for the viewers, listeners? Any other topics we want to hit up tonight?
feel like there was something, and now I can't recall. So my apologies, but I felt like there was something that I wanted to bring up. But nevertheless,
I got
appreciate
nothing.
Jamie and Vince for playing around with us. I appreciate
Yeah.
it for everyone who tuned in. Hopefully it just kind of helps give you an idea, right? If you're drafting early, it gives you an idea of how things could fall. But nevertheless, thanks everybody for tuning in, supporting the podcast. We appreciate y'all.
Cosign.
All righty. Well, that's going to take us down to the end of it. Again, appreciate everybody tuning in, chiming in. Make sure you hit all the socials up, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, at all, with those places, at Good Old Boys FF. And click that like and subscribe button. Really appreciate everybody tuning in, chiming in. That's going to do it for us. He's Kevin. He's Alex. I'm Derek. Have a good one. Be safe. Toodaloos.